Cody Miller Podcast, Episode 1, recorded October 28th, 2018 at 1 p.m. in my living room. 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everyone, to the first ever episode of the Cody Miller Podcast. I have started this podcast as an extension of the vlog, basically being a place for people who love swimming, love the sport of swimming, and want to hear people who generally know enough about swimming, have discussions about swimming, all things swimming, whether it be training, whether it be racing, whether it be current events, whether it be you name it, all things the sport of swimming. People get to know me a little bit better. I've had a lot of people who watch the vlog say, Cody, you should start a podcast. And I like a lot of podcasts, so I've decided to start this podcast, and then I'll bring in, guests. Who knows how regularly this thing is going to be. It's very casual. It could be 20 minutes long, could be 2 hours long. I don't know. But enough of that. My first guest today is Olympic gold medalist, American record holder, and one of my best friends in the entire world, Blake Pieroni. Blake, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. I'm pretty pumped for this. I listen to a lot of podcasts too, and 1 year after the vlog, kind of starting a new venture. Yeah. I think the podcast is a space where people can go a little bit deeper into swimming and talk about things.
I agree. It's funny. Right after the Olympics, my age, actually, both of our agent Rob, he says, Cody, you should start a podcast. And I was like, that sounds fun. But at the time, I didn't listen to a lot of podcasts, and I started watching vlogs. But literally a year after, when I told him a couple of weeks ago, I was like, hey, we're starting a podcast. He was like, well, I said that to you like 2 years ago.
Yeah, almost, for me, podcasts are like saviors for like long drives. So it's like I can only listen to music for like so long, and I like to learn about something or hear something, so
that's like all I listen to in cars anymore. So when I'm going to practice, I listen to music to get in the zone, and then when I'm done with practice, I usually listen to YouTube shows or podcasts.
Yeah, I listen to the drive I just had to Chicago was about 4 hours. I listen to podcasts and stuff, and I love them.
So for those of you who follow the sport of swimming, you've probably heard of Blake. Maybe you've met Blake. Blake is probably most famous for being the first man to ever break 130 in the 200-yard freestyle, which, I'll be honest with you, was a feat that I thought mostly going through my collegiate career would probably never happen. I thought that was insane. I thought it was absurd. So,
It was pretty. I don't know. I was never even thought of breaking 130 until after my junior year, or maybe no. When Townley went 130.4 his sophomore year at Georgia Tech, I think that was the first time I was like, wow, a sophomore, just going 130.4 is pretty. I don't know. It just got me starting to think about 130 barrier.
I feel like oftentimes it takes 2 or 3 people to kind of push each other to that zone. Because like you said to me before, if Townley had never gone that 130 point, you probably never would have thought that was possible.
Yeah, true. And every day in practice when you're not really super motivated that day and, maybe think about what that other person is doing in practice, that definitely helped me a lot.
Dude, I think about that all the time. I'll be honest, other American breaststroker, my Olympic teammate Kevin Cordes, however you choose to pronounce it, I thought about that guy a lot. And he and I are great friends. I get along with him really well. Obviously, that, Blake, but I thought about him a lot leading into trials and leading to that. You use your competitors as motivation. Yeah. And I thought that's
definitely a good tool too. I'm like, I don't want to do this, and then your mind kind of wanders into it can kind of go down a negative rabbit hole.
It can go,
but sometimes it can be motivational, and you find yourself 1,000 yards later sprinting, and you're
what you and Mishu.
Yeah. Why am I sprinting this
it's Monday morning? Slow down, Mishu.
Yeah.
So this podcast is going to be super casual. We might sometimes have a list of things we want to discuss. We might just let the conversation flow and go where it may. As I said, we're not professionals here. We're just trying stuff. I just really wanted to start an open space for people to really discuss swimming. And then, we'll probably discuss other things. Everyone who knows me knows that I'm a huge movie buff and I like super nerdy stuff. Blake is drinking out of my Platform 9 3/4 mug right now. Love nerdy stuff. But that brings me to this. I saw you post on Instagram the other day something that is really cool. And I'm going to read that for everyone. And then, we'll talk about this a little bit. So you said, I learned an important lesson. It would probably make more sense if you were reading it.
Yeah, I can just tell the story.
Yeah, dude, you tell the story. Go ahead. You tell the story.
I don't want
to read. All right, that's cool. If you want to read it, go to Blake's Instagram. But go ahead.
Yeah. So recently, actually on Monday, I'm traveling to Beijing for the 5th meet of the World Cup series. There's 7 meets in total, and able to to be able to travel to China, I would need a Chinese visa. And in order to do that, I had to send my passport and a bunch of other documents through the mail to some like visa processing center in Virginia. And what ended up happening was I sent it United States Postal Service, and it got lost or like sent the wrong way. And this was like already an expedited thing that I needed like pretty much as fast as they possibly could do.
Right.
And they accidentally sent it to like the West Coast or like Arizona or somewhere, and it got like lost in mail or whatnot. But so it's Wednesday, 3-4 days ago, and I need a new passport and a Chinese visa to fly at 7 a.m. on Monday. And so I'm like, there's no way I'm getting this stuff. So I had to drive from Bloomington to Chicago in the middle of the training week and apply for a 1-day emergency passport. And then the next day go back to Chicago and go to the Chinese consulate and apply for a Chinese visa that would, with my new passport, that would allow me to go to China.
Dude.
So yeah, it was like 12 hours of driving in a car and like almost 600 miles.
It was so funny during practice on Saturday morning. I mean, don't get me wrong, you were going fast, but I remember Mishu was flying. So we have a guy on the team right now. He's a junior?
Yeah, he's a junior.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, we both train with Indiana University, and there's a junior on the team named Mohammed Sami from Egypt, and he trains like a freaking racehorse. Like anyone who's ever swam knows that there's certain people who can just grind, and he's fast. Yeah. And I remember, it's funny, so Mishu's nickname is the Bear. He kind of looks like a bear. He's kind of built like one.
Yeah.
And I remember halfway through the set, or 3/4 of the way through the set, he was going so fast. And you came into the wall like, and you're like, does anyone have a bear trap?
Yeah. So Misha and I have been racing or been training partners for about 2 years. And he just never, what's amazing about him is how fast he can hold. So he doesn't necessarily go, 10,000 yards all fast.
Yes.
But how fast, like hundreds yards going like 45s and 46 is like 10 of them. You know what I mean? Just
absurd.
Like some crazy things. Yeah, some crazy sets that he's had.
Crazy.
But yeah, on one of the 50s, we're at like 200 pace, long course on Saturday, and he went a 25.4, and I went like 26.8, and I was like, well, that's some pretty fast 200 pace.
That's really fast.
It ends up just being all out.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, but yeah, that was a pretty crazy thing that I had to do. But I was thinking about how upset I was at the beginning of it, and then I don't know what happened
on that 10-hour drive.
Yeah, I was just like. Well, it's kind of crazy that this is my problem, to have like an emergency visa to be able to travel internationally,
That is.
It's just how you look at it. I was like so upset, and then I'm like, what? I still get to, I'll make my flight. I get to travel. I get to race in a different country, see new places, and meet people, and it's just about how you look at it. And after I thought of that, I was like. Not even pissed anymore.
You really, it's funny, like if you can put, that's amazing too, like if you can put that kind of thing in perspective for yourself, because it's one thing, like everyone does the same thing. They get wrapped up in their own problems, they get wrapped up in the things that they're dealing with, and you just you lose sight of a good healthy dose of perspective. And for you to even be able to do that on your own, like having a soul searching drive and be like, you know what, like I'm complaining about being able to travel the world right now,
exactly.
Like, and then you're just like, oh, you know what, screw it, like that's not too bad. And that's one thing that I've kind of worked on with the vlog is, you know me really well, obviously, like I'm a very positive, happy, kind of jolly person. And I try to let that really reign true. I try to always be very, very energetic and very poppy, when I'm on camera. But just in general, I think it's good to have perspective, because I know that there are people who watch my vlog and who follow, you and I's swimming careers in other parts of the world where, they don't have those opportunities. I get comments and messages all the time on Facebook and on Instagram like, oh, I wish we were able to do that in my country.
Yeah.
Or I wish we were able to do that here.
I think that's huge, thinking about how much better you have it than certain other people.
Sure.
It's just
for sure. Sometimes, dude, we're recording this in my kitchen, which is like a relative. I look at it and I'm like, it's a relatively crappy kitchen. I'm in a small 1,200 square foot house. And sometimes like, man, but then I realize I take a step back and I'm like, dude,
you have a house.
I have a house. Yeah. Like I have everything that I could have ever really wanted.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real.
It's a powerful way of thinking.
Yeah.
And I think being a collegiate athlete, and a student athlete, having to train 20 hours a week and having to do classes and having to do X, Y, and Z, you kind of start feeling down about on yourself, like, oh, I have to do all this stuff. But
thinking about having it too, though, like you are able to, and just choose to.
Yeah. I think a big thing for me my senior year too is when I kind of started thinking about all this is that I felt that my window was closing and that I only had less than a year to do everything that I wanted to do in college
laser
swimming.
Focused last year.
Yeah, it
was nuts.
Yeah.
You were like a machine, just a killing machine. I loved it.
Laying the bear traps.
Every time. Laying the bear traps. Every time Blake stepped up on the block our senior year, it doesn't matter who we were racing against. It's like, all right, well, we're going to win this. And that's something that I really admired about you. So, like, I guess we can go into how you and I became friends and how we got to know each other. But in 2016, when we made the Olympics, you and I didn't really know each other that well. I mean, like, we trained on the same team together. We hadn't trained a whole lot together. You'd maybe come over to my house a couple times.
Right.
But I remember when I first realized how much I really liked you was when you actually made the Olympics. And it's how you made the Olympics,
right?
Quite honestly. So for those of you who don't know, Blake made the Olympics as a member of the 4x100 freestyle relay. And he placed 6th place at Olympic trials in Omaha in 2016 to qualify. And they take 4 people automatically for the relay and then 2 relay alternates who generally swim the prelim session of the meet, to kind of save people. And I remember your best event, obviously, is the 200 freestyle. Like, you're a 200 freestyler. And I remember you swam the 200 freestyle and you didn't have the race that you wanted, right? Like, that was the event that you were like, okay, maybe I have a shot at this.
Right. I think
you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. The 200 was before the 100, and that was by far my best event at the time. And I swam okay in prelims, I think. It wasn't really a best time, but it was like near it. And then in the semifinals is when I just had, a terrible swim. I don't know what happened really, but it was like, didn't make the A final. That was all that mattered.
Right.
And I was pretty devastated after that. And
it's hard. Like, don't just breeze over that. It's hard when you have a goal of making a team or going a best time or winning an event or doing something specific and you fall short of that at the highest level of competition. It's very hard to manage that in the moment. And for you being a guy who is like, man, maybe I have a shot at making top 16 and then maybe, just maybe I have a shot at making top 8. And then there's that little twinkle of the Olympic dream. And for you to swim that, your best event, and to fall short of that in the moment, I don't want to just gloss over how hard it is to overcome that in that moment at the, like once again, the highest peak of our sport.
Yeah, and feeling that this is your one chance, because it was the event that I was seated the highest in, and like everyone was like, oh, if he has a chance, it's in this one, and then just totally falling flat in that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like afterwards, my thinking shifted again. I was like, well, being in this kind of attitude and this kind of, way of thinking is only going to hurt me for my next events. It'll only take me down a hole of doing worse.
True.
So my next event was 100 freestyle. I think my personal best time at trials was like 49.
Oh my God.
6?
Oh my God.
Yeah. 49.6 or something. And then in prelims, I think I went 49.3, made it to semis, went 49.0, and then swam in the final and went 48.7.
Dude, 48.7 and made the Olympics.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, you turned it around and you just got better a little bit each time, a little bit better. I remember after each one of your swims, you're like, dude, Blake, he did a little bit better. Maybe, dude, maybe. Yeah. It's like the most outside of outside shots.
Right, yeah.
And you did it.
I don't know what I was seated in that, like 40th or something.
Right? Like, you made the Olympics in an event that you were not even top 40. We don't know.
That's something that's pretty cool, I think, about Olympic trials. When they say that, if you have a lane, you have a chance.
Yeah, it's
totally
true. You know who else can be said for is Nathan Adrian.
Right. Yeah.
Nathan made the
swimming off.
So interesting. Yeah, he had people probably don't remember this, but arguably the greatest American sprinter of all time, certainly the greatest American sprinter of our generation.
Yeah, for the last 10 years.
Right, for the last 10 years. I mean, he made his first Olympic team and threw a swim off.
Yeah, 2008, he tied for 8th in the 100 freestyle. Yeah. Won the swim off and then ended up getting 4th.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That just think
insane.
about the absurdity of that. Like, what would have happened had he just by 1/100th of a second gotten 9th place?
I mean,
think about just blows my mind, dude. It blows my mind. And that's like one reason, like one small aspect of why I love our sport so much.
But I think
it's crazy.
Things happen like that pretty regularly, especially Olympic trials. So. I think, in 2020, I'm sure something similar will happen like that. Another example, but as well as me, one of my good friends, Ryan Held, didn't even have an Olympic trial cut in 2012.
Dude.
And got 3rd. I think he was 3rd
in
2016. Yeah.
Madness.
So, I mean...
You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know.
Like, 4 years is a lot of time.
It is a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's totally crazy. But I remember that because, for me, I've been in similar situations where, in 2012, I didn't think I was going to make the Olympic team. Okay. I knew that there were these two guys named Brendan Hansen and Eric Chanteau, and it was going to be a long shot that anybody beat them. But I remember my goal was just to make the final in the 200 because at the time, like you, I was a tuner breaststroker, and that was my highest. I was highly ranked in that event. I thought I had a good shot at making top 8, and I didn't. And that was, really hard for me because after that, I only had one other event, which was the Tuner IM, which is my third best event, which is an event that I was not even seated top 16.
Were there any good Americans in that?
So maybe I can there's this guy named Michael Phelps and this other guy named Ryan Lochte,
I think I've heard of him.
The world record holder and then the greatest Olympian of all time. So no one was going to make it, Once again, you got a lane, you got a shot. But in those two events, it's pretty much a long shot.
Your shot is,
And so for me, it was like, okay, I remember Ray pulled me aside and he was like, do not roll over.
Yeah.
He told me real seriously, and I'm going to keep the profanity out of it, but he was like, don't you roll over. And I was like, and I just kind of took the pressure out of myself because at that point it didn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I went at best time at prelims, went at 201, 1 or 2, and I went 2009, and then in finals I went 200.7, and I got 7th. And, 2 lanes over, Phelps and Lochte were boom right there, right on the world record. And it was like, that moment for me, learning how to not quit when you fall short of something at that meet is what I think really helped propel me to then qualify in 2016. And when I saw that in you in 2016 and actually make the team, I was like, that to me, subconsciously, I was like, I really liked you. We were friends, I knew you, but I didn't know you nearly to the level I know you now.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this guy and I have something seriously in common. I can work with this guy.
Yeah. That meet is unlike any other. You learn a lot of things at that meet.
It's crazy.
It's people think that the Olympics, is the pinnacle or whatnot.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
People, and even in the lower levels of our sport, young kids listening, the gravity and the magnitude and the pressure of United States Olympic trials is the most crippling, hardest test anyone can go through in our sport. Quite honestly, it is. It's totally. If you can live through Olympic trials and do it successfully and qualify or achieve your goal, whatever your goal is, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you can do it at the height of that meet, then you're pretty freaking bulletproof.
Yeah, especially in that. And then, as the team goes through trials and then goes to the Olympics, everyone's looking around where is the meet? You know what I mean? The meet already happened. Now it's just, it's such a difficult, deep meet team to make. And now we're just okay, we're here now. It's pretty crazy.
I always tell people, especially young kids, it's if you're even a little bit interested in swimming or whatever, I say make going to Olympic trials a priority. Put that on your list, whether it's travel to the meet just to go and watch, whether it's qualify, whatever. It's an experience unlike anything else, man. I always describe it as the Super Bowl of swimming because it's in an arena. The Key West Center, I think, is what it used to be called.
I'm not sure.
But it seats close to 20,000 people, and they fill it out. They build up a Murtha pool in the middle of this venue. There's fire alongside the pool deck. There's a giant jumbotron. Everyone's waving American flags. It's an atmosphere that I've never seen it replicated.
Yeah, and like I said, I had never been to one before 2016.
That blows my mind.
So I had no idea what to expect. And one of the things that just I don't know, that really stuck out to me is while I was walking out for events, how lit up the pool was and how dark the stands were. It felt like a boxing arena or something, just really like a battlefield. It's just no one's looking into the stands, and then there's this super bright lit up swim, and
you're
battle, and I was just okay. Yeah.
That's crazy because for me, it's I qualified in 2008 when I was 16. I just turned 16. And I remember just when I was there in 2016, it was okay, I was literally just there. I didn't swim well when I got there. I spent the whole summer trying to qualify. 2008, right. And then in 2012, it was okay, can I make a final?
Right.
So I had very much a stepping stone, working my way through. You just jumped in and you just figured it out.
Yeah, had to do the stepping stones after that.
Yeah. You're doing pretty well now, so it's clearly working out.
Yeah, that was definitely a launch pad to everything else.
It's been madness though. So after that, I mean, we kind of became friends. You know, obviously, being on an Olympic team together, you kind of bond in a special way.
Yeah.
And
the first place that we'd ever met, Cody actually recruited me to come.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So
to come to IU. Was that like?
I think my first conversation with you was in my living room.
Yeah.
It had to be my.
It was your senior year.
My senior year.
My senior year. Your senior year. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was a senior in college. You were a senior in high school.
Yep.
And I remember Coach Westfall was like, "We want this kid more than anything," and I was like, "All right, let me put the team on my back."
Yeah. I don't remember. We were like playing video games on your couch or something.
You told me you're like, "I'm gonna commit to IU," and I was like inside, like I was playing it cool, like we were playing I think Grand Theft Auto or something. And I was like, "Okay, be chill," but like inside I was like, "Oh yeah, the top recruit."
Yeah, that was 5 years ago, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah, so you were a senior in college when I was a senior. So yeah, your fifth year was my freshman year.
Yeah, I remember recruiting.
And now I'm a fifth year.
That's madness. So
crazy?
now you're literally in the position I was in when I recruited you.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That was fun though.
Yeah, that was.
I remember. I mean, getting you was huge. Just we don't even need to go down that route, but
yeah, I mean that could be a whole nother.
Oh, that's a whole nother. That's
show.
A whole nother discussion, quite honestly. Yeah. But I mean, we started to get to know each other a little bit better, and then all of a sudden you're in my wedding. Like, what happened?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That was great too. A great experience. What was that? September of
last year. What are we? 2018 now? 2017.
Something like
September
that.
9th. Yeah, you remember. Wow,
yeah, that was
you.
I know.
Dude, Christy's gonna love that.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it was. Obviously, great day for you, but yeah, it was very fun for everyone else.
So fun.
Yeah.
I remember you pulled me into that little like storage closet on the side, and you're like,
"This is your last chance to
turn
back." No, that's not what I said.
No, that's not what you said. He's like, dude, like this is a really big deal. Like you're getting married right now.
Yeah,
like,
it only happens once.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said.
Ideally.
And I was like, oh my god, you're right.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
As long as I don't bloat with Allie.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best.
You're doing good so far. Yeah.
I'm trying. I mean, I'm not a professional at really anything. I'm pretty good at swimming in a pool, but when it comes to life and stuff, I never pretend to know everything. So who knows, dude?
Yeah, I mean. That was a lot. Like I was watching your year recap vlog.
Oh yeah,
and how much stuff happened in 1 year. I mean, I don't know. Was that in it? I think you started it right after.
I started the vlog shortly after our wedding. So no, and I didn't put any footage of the wedding in the video. What did you think of it though?
Yeah, I thought it was really good, and like. It allows other people to maybe like if that's their first video that they've watched, they could catch up on so much and learn a lot. And then it's also like a good way for you to go back and like look at what happened. I had
so much fun just making that video because I took an entire year of footage and I sifted through all of it. I mean, I've never spent so much time working on a video, not because I was really editing, but just because I was sifting through footage.
Right.
And it is kind of a cool thing to be able to look back on.
Yeah.
And it's just really fun, man.
Yeah. After I watched it, I was like, what did I do?
Yeah. Like, yeah.
I don't know.
Making you examine your life.
That was. I mean, a lot of events packed into 8 minutes or so or whatever how long it was. But that's a great way to look back on a year. I think you should probably do that each year.
I think I should too.
Yeah.
Maybe even like halfway through. I feel like I could do, I guess it just depends on the year and like how much vlogging I'm actually doing.
That's true.
Season 2 of the vlog's about to start.
Yeah, the vlog. That's a crazy development that's happened in the last year where you have like 55,000 subscribers on YouTube in 1 year, and
it really picked up more steam than I ever really thought. It's opened up a lot of doors and kind of changed my life in a lot of really cool ways. And I know I've talked ad nauseum about this before, but the reason I started the vlog was, not to be social media famous, not to, make waves and create attention, but it's, me, like I'm a huge movie fanatic.
Right.
The thing that I'm infatuated by the most is film editing.
Right.
When I was looking at colleges, I was looking at two things. I was looking at swimming and I was looking at film. And ultimately I made the sacrifice. I came to Indiana, which does not have a film school. And I chose to study something else and focus really on swimming. Quite honestly, like when I was getting to my degree in SPIA, I was a business management major, and I also minored in human resources. So, decent degrees. But I mean, I was very much focused on swimming because I want to make the Olympics. But my other passion is filmmaking, is film, and I always wanted to learn. So I was like, you know what? I stumbled upon vlogging and vlogs, and I was like, man, maybe I should just try this.
Yeah, and you have so much going on, and so it's very interesting, to watch and just Well,
the reach that the vlog has had. I mean, let's be clear. Like, I have a very very micro level of fame. Like 50,000 subscribers on YouTube is huge in my eyes, but like in the scheme of YouTube in the world, it's pretty much
but I
nothing.
mean, perspective, dude. Some people
Right.
don't even have YouTube channels.
You're right. You're exactly right. I need you to say that to me. But I mean, I'll get people from all over the world message me on a regular basis, you know, saying, oh, like you changed my daughter's life, or oh, you've inspired me, or like every Wednesday I watch your video before practice and it helps me get through the week. And I'm like, man, that's a really cool feeling. And that is something that I never expected.
Right. Yeah.
Ever. And I hope that this podcast can be an extension of that. I hope that people can listen to schmucks like you and I talking about swimming or whatever we decide to talk about and realize that, you know, we're Olympic swimmers, but we're just like everybody else.
Right.
And also, you know, if it's a form of entertainment, if it can help take people's minds off other things, you know, whatever it is, whatever it's doing, I hope that it's good.
Yeah, it can be different things for different people. Yeah, I mean, I'm so pumped because I'm a huge swim nerd. Yeah, so like, I love talking
we can
about
have some crazy, like the hardcorest of hardcore swim conversations.
I love talking about swimming and stats and all kinds of, you know, times and splits.
For people that are listening, Blake is a stats guy. I mean, we're always spitting out just the most random, absurd things, like the time 2000 that our team does every year. What maybe arguably the fastest time 2000 ever is, or you know, talking about sets. Like we could talk sets, swimming sets. I mean, that's some hardcore nerd swim stuff.
Yeah.
So
I mean, one of the favorite things is, you know, NCAA, which is the pinnacle of college swimming. And
yeah, so let's go off on a tangent here. Yeah, I want to, because I've mentioned this before, I think in a Q&A video that I once did, and I said that the swimming collegiately in the NCAA, particularly competing at the highest level at NCAAs for a top level program, is the hardest thing a swimmer can do in our sport, period. The hardest thing a swimmer can do is compete all cylinders firing at max capacity for 4 or 5 days, however long that meet is, in all of those events. There's nothing else like it. There's nothing else like it. Nothing out there. Because let me explain to the people that are listening. For people who go to the Olympics and compete at World Championships and compete at World Cups, there are these week-long events where, generally speaking, you only have 2, 3, maybe 4 individual races and maybe 1 or 2 relays.
Right.
And it's much more spread out.
Yeah, and I mean, the environment is so different too. God. So when you go to like a World Cup or something, like a, you know, World Championships, for example, yeah, you have Team USA behind you, but you haven't spent the last year with these people training and seeing how hard they've worked.
Yeah.
So when you go to NCAAs and, like, I mean, other than just swimming your races, you're emotionally invested in everyone else's races on your team.
Soul.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, seeing Mishu just grind and kill me in practice daily, and then go to NCs and get 4th in the 200 freestyle. That was like
the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, that was just like one of the best things about swimming, you know, and in college, and being able to compete in that meet. And yeah, like you said, it's one of the hardest things, especially when you have 13 or 14 races.
Right. When I'm saying one of the hardest things, go ahead. You're like the pro at this, because you're one of the greatest NCAA swimmers of our generation, certainly. Describe what it's like going from day one to the end of the meet, just briefly, and how physically taxing. Like, I want people to understand when I say that it's the hardest thing to do, why.
Right. So for a couple of reasons. First is that prelims are 100% all out, because the meet is so fast and so competitive that prelims are basically all out.
Mm-hmm. There's no wiggle room for you can conserve energy.
No, and
even
it's
at
like
the Olympics, people need to know this. Like, even at the Olympics, you can conserve energy in certain sessions, prelims, semifinals, whatever.
And points are so valuable at the NCAA. Even if you are like Caleb Good or something, you don't even want to risk, you know, being on the outside or maybe missing it, just because you have so much invested in your teams, or in your teammates are counting on you for everything, that you just, you know, I mean, it's just easier to go all out, honestly, than to try and gauge how much energy, you know. But I mean, imagine going all out in a 500 on the first day, or like, you know, the second day, and then having 12 more swims. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then I think the atmosphere is just intense. I mean, it's unlike, it's different than Olympic trials or World Championships, because of I think it's smaller. It's more of like just like a, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's crazy. Like, yeah, it's like your team versus these guys versus these guys.
Because the thing is, like, in our little world of swimming, especially here collegiately, it's a small world. And realistically, you've got 15 programs, generally speaking, who have guys that throw down times that make top 16 in the country. So everyone kind of knows everyone to an extent, especially the programs that are top 6, top 7, particularly the top 5 programs. I mean, between Texas and Michigan and NC State and Florida and, you know, all those teams, like, we all kind of know each other. Like,
right.
We all look at each other's rosters, and like, we're very aware of one another, especially guys like you and I who follow stats and look at what other teams are doing throughout the year. So when the big show comes, it's an explosion.
Yeah, and I think another thing is it's so, at least for my senior year, it's so anticipated. You know, I mean, I just am running through the meet a million times, you know, in my mind before the meet happens, and like, not like getting nervous about it, but like in anticipation of doing races and competing on relays, and, you know, like what kind of splits we can throw down.
Especially because there's this narrative out there that everyone kind of lives by that we can talk about, and that is the only thing that really matters is NCAAs. Like, right? And that's true, but it's also not true.
Yeah, not. I mean, in the area of college swimming, it is the pinnacle. Like I guess the most emphasized meet is NCAAs, but there's a lot of other meets that mean a lot. I mean, Big Tens, you know, it's just different, I guess.
It is different.
Yeah. In some, you know, depending on where your school is, you know, your conference meet might not necessarily mean that much, you know, if it's...
Or it might be the biggest, it might be the thing.
Right.
Like, that's the one thing that you strive for every year, and it's like, okay, like, that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if you're on a club level, it's JOs, or it's state, or it's sectionals, or whatever it is.
Right, yeah.
It's just...
But definitely about NCs, whether you're... What I think another thing that makes NCs so different is that the team aspect. So, like, when you're on a club team, you know pretty much everyone on your team.
Sure.
But when you're at like a Division I NCAA college team, everyone kind of, you know, is at a level, and they all kind of want the same thing. But when you're on an age group club team, you have some kids that are, you know, going to junior nationals. Some kids are just, you know, there to swim, and that's fine. But it brings a lot of, I don't know, tenacity to the meet, knowing that everyone is this good, you know. And
there's a lot of clout.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's insane. I think just to go to the meet and experience it is.
Well, we're going this year.
Yeah, we are.
You and I have yet to book our Airbnb. What we're doing.
We're swimming. Yeah, we're competing, right? We found one more year in both
availability. We're gonna do it like Air Press.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. So next NCs is in Texas.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be huge.
March, last week, third week in March.
We're going.
It'll be
explosive.
It'll be amazing.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah. We're pretty psyched. Obviously, we're psyched, and we're very, very biased because we both trained and went to Indiana, and we will be cheering for our team. Indiana.
Yes.
Obviously, we think we've got a good shot at winning.
Yep. That's a, you know, when I committed to IU, we were 12th, or no, my freshman year we were 12th.
Right.
Do you remember what you were?
So my senior year we were 8th place.
Okay.
With 8 swimmers.
Yeah.
So like with not even half a roster.
Right. I think we were 12th my freshman year, and it was.
You guys kind of did what we did. Like, we got better each year.
Right.
When I was swimming, like, we were like 15th or 16th, and then we were like 12th or 13th, and then we were 10th. And then we were 8th.
Okay.
With a very small group. And mind you, almost no relays.
Right.
Almost no relays.
Yeah, we were 12th, and then 9th, 7th, and 3rd.
Yeah. See, that's going to be great.
Yeah.
One more generation, dude.
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, it was...
I could see myself being a college coach someday.
Yeah?
Potentially. I've certainly thought about what I want to do post-swimming. You know, I want to be involved in the sport of swimming forever. I love it too much, man. It's given too much to me. You know, it's given me mentors, it's given me teachers, it's given me friends. You know, it's given me arguably everything,
right,
to an extent.
Yeah.
And I just don't ever want to leave that. And I know so much about it, and I just enjoy it. Not just the fact of me going to the pool every day, swimming, training, whatever. But I enjoy just all aspects of it. Right.
Yeah.
And that we could talk about endlessly.
Yeah, I think, you know, I could definitely see you as a college coach, and definitely a college coach that just doesn't emphasize the college season.
Yeah.
You know, one that cares about the summer and the Olympics and worlds and things like that. And I think that's important, because, you know, growing up, kids don't want to be. I want to be a, you know, NCAA swimmer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like,
yeah. It's not even.
You know what's cool though? It's when I was in high school, I had no idea what NCAA swimming was
Right.
like. I didn't know. I didn't know what when I was a junior being recruited. I didn't know what the best programs in the country were. I didn't know who held the American records. I didn't know what relay times were because I'd never done. I didn't know anything. Nowadays, kids that age and younger, because of technology and particularly outlets like Swim Swam and Swimming World. I mean, we can talk about them,
Right.
but people know. People are much more aware, and that's good. And that I hope my vlog and I hope this podcast, whatever it turns into, can be another arm on that branch.
Yeah, that was same. I was in a similar boat. My high school career, I wasn't even. I don't know. Maybe it was because I wasn't really even looking at college until like my junior year, like even thinking about swimming in college. But I knew nothing about the NCAA level or what it entailed. I was just like, oh, the Olympics, that's where it's at. And then I came to college and I just got like addicted to like the NCAA.
It's
and
like a whole new world.
Yeah, it's.
And the cool thing is, so I grew up in Las Vegas, and I go back to Vegas a couple times a year, but. A couple of years ago, I went back and trained with the Sandpipers for a few days, and I remember I was swimming with their national team, and they had some 8th graders and some freshmen in high school that were training there, and they were literally talking about college coaches.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding. Like they were talking about, like this, that, and obviously there are other kids in the group who are about to go to college who'd been through the recruiting process, but like that to me is just super cool. Like that's a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I don't know. I just. Yeah, it needs to be out there a little bit more. I don't know. Just what is the NCAA broadcasted on? I mean, NCAA network. Like
you mean like the meet, like the swimming
the
meet?
Actual meet.
Dude, I don't know.
I
honestly, that's a problem.
Yeah.
The fact that you and I don't know that is a problem.
Yeah, that needs to be.
I don't know. And I know that there are some outlets like what's the swimming one that that Clark Burkle worked for a while? Is it the Swim Stream thing? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Flow swimming?
Flow swimming, yeah. Okay, so my understanding, I could be completely wrong about this, but my understanding was that Flow Swimming was trying to secure rights to stream certain swim meets, be it, I don't know, a pro series or a sectional meet or who knows. I mean, NCAA, I don't know who owns those rights, but like the fact that, our team competed in Texas last weekend for a tri-meet. It was University of Florida, University of Texas, and Indiana University all competed at Texas together.
Yep.
That's one of the highest profile dual meets in NCAA swimming, and it wasn't broadcasted.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
It was the champion, the NCAA champion team last year. We were third. We were third. 4th to 5th last year.
Yeah, 4th or 5th.
So I mean, it's tough to get a try meet.
Exactly. And the fact that that's not broad. I mean, so that's a whole other discussion. Like that's a problem, but you know what? On the other hand, like if we look at it glass half full, people are glued to their phone, looking at Twitter and looking at live results, and seeing what's happening, and breaking things down.
Yeah, and definitely, and like people will make the argument, like NC or dual meets don't matter, and I'm like, well, they matter in some aspects, but I just kind of want to watch. I want to see it. I want to be entertained. I want to be.
That's the thing. So I sat down with Tim Henchy, who is the new CEO of USA Swimming, about a week or two ago, and one of his biggest goals, and one of, by extension, my biggest goals, is to make swimming more of a spectator-friendly sport. We want to make it so that people who aren't nearly as invested in swimming like you and I are can watch meets, can be entertained, and can have fun doing it. It's like, how do we package that? How do we make it a more spectator-friendly sport? That's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
But I do think that after my discussion with him, I feel like things are moving in the right direction, and I am excited for a lot of the things that we discussed.
Yeah, and there is a need. I mean, I'll get texts and I'm saying, where is this stuff live casted or streamed, or where can I watch it? And I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't even know if you can.
My
splits will be here if you want to see that.
We don't know.
Yeah,
we just don't know.
Yeah, so that's a lot of progress in that department. But yeah,
another one of my goals is. And I want people to know this. As I said, I don't plan on leaving the sport of swimming anytime soon. But, I want to look back at what you and I went through as pros, as professional swimmers, in 10 or 15 or 20 years, and be like, man, that sucked. Like, I want to be able to look back in 20 years and be like, what we went through was awful.
Because of how good
it is. Because of how good it is.
Right.
Exactly. Like, I want it to improve so much. Because, for example, 15 years ago, there was no APA.
Right.
15 years ago, there was no national team support or funding. And for people out there who don't know what I'm talking about, U.S. national team members receive certain benefits, receive certain packages and certain levels of support in different areas, particularly the biggest one being what is called APA. That is Athlete Partnership Agreement. That is, if you are within a certain world ranking,
Right.
depending on the year, it's usually top 16, you qualify for APA. And that means that you are given a salary to solely compete and train and prepare to represent your country.
Right.
And so it's a salary of about, around between $30,000 and $40,000. And nowadays, that's great. So, you are obviously top 16 in the world, so you're making APA.
Right.
And that's amazing. And then if someone could get a sponsorship in addition to that, if they can get whatever, so you're able to survive as a swimmer. You are able to graduate college and at least make a living, regardless of how, obviously $40,000 is a lot to some eyes, not a lot in others, but it provides you a living.
Right. Well, so like you said, but yeah, so it's actually not, it doesn't go to 40.
No, not now.
But it's 24 to 36.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So somewhere in between that range.
Right.
So yeah, like you said, you can survive.
Yes.
And, but yeah, like you said, 15, however many years ago.
Right. And so the thing is, like, one of my biggest idols is Josh Davis. He's a big reason why I idolized Olympians and wanted to be an Olympic swimmer. And for those of you who don't know it, Josh Davis has his own swim clinic company, and to this day still travels all over the country and does swim clinics and does speaking events. And when I was 10 years old, I think I made a vlog about this, but when I was 10 years old, Josh Davis came to my club team, and I remember him speaking to us, and he let me hold his Olympic gold medal. And that blew my mind as like a little kid. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, I was so jacked, dude. I went home. I couldn't stop thinking about it and talking about it. And like, I was mesmerized. And I remember, dude, he dove in the pool and did a 50 underwater. A full 50 yards underwater, no breath. And I was like, oh, it was like the craziest thing I'd ever seen.
Like fast dolphin kick?
No,
for time,
just like
or
chill. Just chill. But I'd
wow.
never seen anyone do something
Right.
like that. Like, I'd never seen that before.
Right.
And so, I saw that. And anyway, I'm going on a tangent here. But Josh was one of the first guys to kind of pioneer what is become professional swimming.
Yeah.
And professional swimming really isn't professional swimming. It's not.
Right.
But you can sort of make a lifestyle.
Right.
Sort of.
You can live.
You can. It's also very cutthroat. Like, for me, example, this summer, as you know, I had a little bit of an injury with my knee problem, and I didn't have the best training, and it was a combination of things. I don't want to just blame my poor performances on my injury. Obviously, that was a factor, but that's a whole nother discussion.
Right.
But I was 17th this summer in the world. So the cutoff date to qualify for APA was September 1st, and as of September 1st, I was 17th, which means I did not qualify for APA. So that $30,000 salary went out the window.
Goes to zero.
Right? So it's very cutthroat. And like, that is something that, obviously selfishly, I'm like, we need to change that just in case,
Yeah.
But I would say I don't want that to happen to anybody else.
Right.
And I also know that there are a lot of people out there who are, 17th, 18th, 19th, top 30 in the world in our sport who make nothing,
Right.
but could potentially be much better. And have a shot at legitimately making an Olympic team long term if they had a little bit of funding to support themselves,
Right.
if they chose to do so. And I want to make that possible for
Right.
those people.
Yeah, it's definitely an area that needs some more attention. Back to Josh Davis, though.
Yeah,
Nationals. We were talking a little bit about at Nationals. I think the day after the meet was over, he was doing 20 50s long course at 200 pace. He was still swimming. I was like, all at 200 pace, and he was like, yeah, on a minute. And I was like, what? Yeah.
How old is Josh?
I know.
Oh
I don't
gosh.
know. But I was just like, he is still swimming, and he's so.
I want to be like that.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
he looks so good too.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and I think he was going. I don't know. I don't want to put a number out there if I was wrong, but
he's 46. Josh is 46 years old.
Yeah.
What a baller.
He was like, yeah, I like doing 20 50s best average, or he's like, because it's like the hardest set you can do, and then you're done for the day. And I was like, all right, you're crazy, dude.
He's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
He definitely loves that USRPT
Yeah.
train.
Yeah.
He told, I went to a meet in Oklahoma a couple of years ago, and I talked to him about some of the sets he was doing. He's like, yeah, no, I'll just get in and do a 200, and then we'll go, man. And I'm like, you are a maniac.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, he's a great guy. And
Did you ever have a similar moment where you, like, when did you first meet your first Olympic swimmer, or how did all that go?
Yeah, I think I had an inspiration moment, kind of like when you were holding the medal.
Yeah.
But I was 12 years old, and I was watching Michael swim in Beijing in 2008, win 8 gold medals. And I was still kind of into swimming at that point, and like it's almost like the most life-changing moment other than making the Olympics, but watching the 400 freestyle relay,
One of the most beautiful things I've
in
ever
Beijing. Yeah, Jason Lezak touching out the French. It's just, I mean, I could talk about that forever. And like
God, we could do a whole podcast on that.
That race in conjunction with Michael winning 8 golds was an inspiration moment for me. I was just like, the coolest thing I had ever seen.
Yeah.
Should we talk about that for?
We should. So first of all, Jason Lezak, for those young kids listening, if you don't know who Jason Lezak is, I hate
Look him
you.
up.
No, you need to Google him. You need to worship him. You need to start a religion.
Yeah.
But Jason Lezak is the greatest relay swimmer of all time. It's funny that that you say that, Blake, because I look at you as you are a relay guy. If you're up on the block and there's a relay, I'm like, we're gonna win. You know what I mean? Anyway,
I do enjoy the relays.
Yeah, Lezak was born to do relays, and I was on the phone with Jason yesterday for 30 minutes, and I'm not even kidding. We were talking about a lot of businessy stuff, a lot of stuff that's going on with the ISL, with the International Swim League, and certain things like that. But I was talking to Jason, and after I got off the phone with him, I took a moment. I was holding my dog, looking outside, and I was like, I just had a conversation with Jason Lezak. And it kind of blew. I took a step back, and I was like, there was a time when I would have spent all the money I ever had to meet him.
Yeah.
And that's not. I'm not even making that up.
Yeah. So
I worshipped him.
That race was just. I mean, there was so much hype around it about how the U.S. was going to lose. Yeah. Because they probably should have on paper.
On paper, they should have.
France was just so stacked. They had the current world record holder.
It was Alain Bernard, the world record holder.
Alain Bernard, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so anyway, short story, Lezak is diving in, anchor leg last. Yeah. About a body length behind against the current world record holder.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
and Lezak is old and way beyond his prime.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So
so we thought.
Obviously not. Yeah.
So we thought.
So Michael's going for 8 gold medals, right? And Lezak is diving in a body length behind the current world record holder. I don't know what.
Chills, dude.
I don't.
have
Yeah.
goosebumps.
I don't know what I would be thinking if I was Michael, but I don't know if I could think positively in that situation. But anyway, Lezak dives in and he has a 0.04 reaction split or something. I don't know if that's it, but a fast reaction
crazy
time. But he flips at the 50 and he's farther behind than he was when he did his relay exchange.
Yeah, the lead was extended.
And so at this point you have a 50 left in this relay, and you're a body length and a half behind the current world record holder. What could you think to yourself?
What is going through your brain?
In that, jeez, I just
rode
can't
the
even.
lane line, and slowly he crept up on him, dude.
He reeled him in and he touched him out, and it was the most ridiculous.
I have goosebumps. My entire body has goosebumps.
Yeah, and it's still
everywhere.
The fastest relay split
Ever.
to this day. It was,
insane.
I don't think it was 46:06 or something, just insanely fast. And watching that race, and I was I was watching with my parents, and we were all like, yes, and Michael being, keeping his streak alive. Dude. And that was just, I don't know, that was
forget that.
An inspirational moment for me in swimming. And then meeting Michael in 16, that was a whole circle, Yeah, it's I watched you 8 years ago on TV, and we're going in the elevator somewhere. It's just us, and he goes, hi, I'm Michael, and I was like, yeah, I know who you are, you don't say, but that was just
really,
life pretty crazy like that. Yeah.
That's so funny, man. That's crazy. That's really cool, though. That's another thing I hope people, especially the kids that listen, that will, hopefully listen to this podcast, is realize we're just like you guys.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll even take it a step further. Michael's just like you guys too.
Yeah, exactly.
I've literally had conversations with Phelps where he talked about the swimmers he idolized growing up, and the people that were the best when he was growing up, and the swim culture that they had in Australia, and how he wanted to bring that to America, and looking up to guys like Tom Dolan from back in the 90s.
Right.
I hope that we're doing good by just talking about it.
Yeah.
It jacks me up.
Yeah, it does too. It gets me pumped up.
Gets me so pumped up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was, I think a lot of people can have kind of a moment where they're swimming just kind of, maybe holding an Olympic medal or whatever
it is.
Yeah, and I definitely want to be a person that can make more of those events happen.
And it's not even I don't want someone to hold my Olympic medal and then make it their dream to become an Olympian. Like I want that to happen, but I want people to see like what I've accomplished or what you've accomplished, and just obviously always shoot for the moon, always shoot for the best. But I think the most important thing is just having the mindset of wanting to be the best you can possibly be, whatever that means, right? It doesn't mean like not everyone's going to make the Olympics, not everyone's going to go down the route of being a professional swimmer. But if you can take that mentality of, you know, showing up every day, working hard and pushing through everything, and have that translate and trickle into other parts of your life, you know, if I can say those things to kids, and obviously knowing that most of those kids aren't going to be professional swimmers, but if they can still take something positively away from that, then I feel pretty good about it. Yeah, and I get pumped for that.
Yeah, that is really cool. And also when you dedicate, you know, your total amount of energy to something, you're kind of like amazed at like kind of where you go. Even if it's not in swimming, like, I don't know, now it's easy to look back, right, in hindsight, and being like, I should have just done this earlier. You know, I should have just been 100% laser focused since I was like 5. You know, I would have made it at 15 or something. You know, but yeah, it's easy to look back and say that, but it's amazing at like, you know, when you're motivated and when you're kind of inspired. Like I had that inspirational moment, and like it's powerful. And seeing what it can transform into later, you know, making an Olympic team and, you know, meeting someone that you saw on TV 8 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, when I meet kids, and once again, like I'm very, very micro level of fame. I'm not famous by any means, but when I meet kids and they're pumped to talk to me because they watch the vlog and because they swim, I love that. Like I genuinely love that, because that makes me feel like I'm getting a sense of satisfaction and reward, something that I never anticipated before. Like I'm having some type of positive influence on people. Also, I'll be honest, I'm not the most social person. You're pretty social. I'm very introverted though. I am. I'm 100% an introvert.
I don't know if I can agree with that.
See, you might think that it's weird because I have like a social media presence and because I make a vlog and this and that, but like when it comes to being in social settings where I don't know people, I don't do well. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely has to be in a setting that you care to be there. You want to be there,
too,
and like,
that's a big deal. But like, I'm trying. Like for example, yesterday, you know, I went up to Indy for my wife Allie's best friend's birthday, and I was with a whole bunch of people that I didn't really know all that well. And like, I kind of struggle in those environments, just being social, and like I'm an awkward dude. Like I just don't know what to. Oh, you don't want to talk about swimming? Oh, I don't know what to say.
I have a vlog. Oh wait, that's still swimming. It's like I have dogs. Yeah.
But really though, like I am an introvert. Allie is an extrovert. Yeah. She needs to talk to people. She needs to socialize. She needs interaction. She needs constant. That. Yeah. And for me, it's like obviously all humans to some extent need a level of interaction and a level of communication and connectivity. Right. However, if there is a spectrum, I am 100% more of an introvert. I would rather be in that guest bedroom over there just watching Netflix and not talking to people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd probably rate you on a scale of like 0 to extrovert. I would think of you of like a 7.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's and fun. Myself like
a
3 or 4.
Fair. Like, I mean, everyone has their own opinion and perspective, and if like you look at me and you think that, yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I like relationships on a more like one-to-one kind of setting. Yeah. I think that's why I work with our coaches so well.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. So Blake's primary coach is a guy named Mike Westfall. I love Mike Westfall.
Yeah.
He's the middle distance coach here at Indiana. And he is a very old-fashioned, very stern, very driven, but sometimes hard to deal with because he's so stern. Yeah. He's so tough. Am I saying that right?
Austere, I think, is a good adjective.
That's a very good adjective.
Yeah.
Very austere.
Yeah, so... But
But you work well.
Yeah, I prefer that kind of thing rather than a coach that kind of just, spits a whole bunch of words out to like a giant group and... Yeah, I just think it's more personal and it's more than just swimming development. So like if he can get you to be, better in every aspect of your life, then, I think it translates to the swimming world. But I think a lot of this is swimming related, but it's kind of more life related. Those one-on-one meetings and talks and building a relationship one-on-one is much more meaningful to me than like, I would rather have 4 really close friends than have like 200 people that I barely know.
100%.
Yeah.
I can count off my hand right now, like on this hand, the people that I'm closest with and that I talk to the most. And
They
then I
can't
consider
see your
true
hand.
friends, and that's it. They can't see my hand, but
They can soon, though. Should we tell them
soon,
that?
I mean, quickly. The idea behind this podcast is it is going to be a video podcast. So it's a lot more complicated than I initially thought, having 2 DSLR cameras, 2 different inputs, 2 audio inputs, going through a system where I am manually toggling camera angles between Blake and myself. I'm gonna learn how to do that. I don't know anything
you just said.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's complicated, but I'm gonna work it out so that this will be like a YouTube show where you and I sit down and talk swimming and bring in guests and whatever. But that's coming. Yeah. But back to what we were saying, as far as the one-on-one talks mean much more to you.
Right.
I completely agree with that. It's all about developing those relationships and communicating with people, and that's one of the reasons why I love our sport so much, and why I say I can't ever leave the sport of swimming, because it's given so much to me. Because I primarily grew up without a father figure, and those were given to me through swimming. Right. Like Ron, my club coach, Ron Aiken from the Sandpipers in Las Vegas. By the way, if you're in the Nevada area or in the Las Vegas area, you should go check out the Sandpiper Swim Club. I grew up on that team, and Ron was very much my father figure. And before him, it was Chris Barber, who is the age group coach there still. And it's just given me a lot. Yeah. And those relationships that I formed with them through our sport is what has helped make me what I am today. And
yeah, that's a good way of extrapolating out swimming, and it's not just swimming up and down a lane. You're learning things and taking things into your real life and implementing them and in everything that you do. And
I would argue that it's a much deeper level and deeper understanding in swimming opposed to other sports. Not knocking other sports, just saying that in swimming, because of the level of dedication, because of the volume and the magnitude of time that you spend at the pool, in the pool, with people, with your teammates, with your coaches, it's just so much more than just like a typical basketball or soccer team. And that's, again, I'm not knocking them. It's just kind of a crazy special thing. Yeah. Just the time. The time commitment alone.
I agree, and the time commitment is something that I kind of struggled with in high school, but I struggled because my friends struggled with it. And at first, I swam because my friends swam. Mm-hmm. I was just there to hang out with my friends in middle school and high school, and I was I don't know, I wanted to go to the Olympics, but I wasn't
Dude, I agree though. I agree. I had that exact same thought. I was like, man, I would I had photos of Phelps on my wall. Yeah. And I had posters of him in my room. Yeah, I did too. The big reason why I was going to the pool was just because, hey, I was going to go hang out with my buddies.
Yeah, exactly. Really? And then, the time commitment just kind of wears on everyone. It does. And it just, some people burn out, and then, having to go to practice every day without, this ex-friend here it's challenging, and it just, it doesn't get any easier as we get older. Mm-hmm.
Dude, honestly, that's kind of how we became friends, though, because I remember your sophomore year, you were living with guys that, we don't need to get into it, but weren't exactly the best influence and weren't...
Yeah, they kind of burned out in the sport a little bit.
They had a hard time.
Yeah, and it was just, it's tough being in an environment where different people are, different... I think that's one of the hardest things about swimming.
Dude, you are who you hang around.
And the time commitment just, it really gets to a lot of people. And I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to... No, I don't think there's a way to put less time in swimming and I don't know.
I mean, there's the whole argument of well, what if you just do USRPT and sprint all the time? It's yeah, but there's still a lot of time to that.
Yeah, there is. And then every time you swim, it's pretty much all out.
Right, and that's a different level of taxing.
Yeah, so definitely.
That's a whole...
Yeah, that's a lot. We've hit on a lot of...
That's madness.
Should we take an opinion of what each show should be and do one show?
You know what I want? I want the listeners to definitely... I want them to have input on what we talk about. I want ideas from people. I want people to let us know what they want me to talk about, what they want you to talk about, what they want to hear, whether it's stories, whether it's training, whether it's times, whether it's stats, whatever in our sport. This is primarily a swimming podcast. So go ahead and follow Blake on Instagram, and obviously follow me on Instagram. And
don't follow Cody.
Get on one of those pictures and drop comments and let us know, because that's the primary method of getting me. Or you can tweet at us anytime. Yeah. Go ahead, send us a tweet and let us know what you want us to talk about. And
definitely.
I'll start I'll keep a list of things, things that I like,
right,
and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I don't want to just ramble about the things that are interesting to me in swimming, but I want to help anyone else that wants to know certain things about swimming.
Well, I want it to be a little bit of both. Like,
Yeah,
I'm doing this just because, like, this is pretty much what we would talk about anyway.
Yeah,
Anyways,
true.
like, obviously we're doing it knowingly that there are going to be people listening to this, but that's part of this podcast is I want it to be as casual yet somewhat formatted as it can be.
Right.
You know, talking about whatever.
And I think it would be if I was 12 years old again, and you know there was a podcast about swimming.
Yeah, like, oh, dude, I didn't even think about that. But if I was 10, and like Brendan Hansen had a podcast, I would have been I would like do backflips, man. You know, so I hope that somebody out there is like super pumped like I am about doing this. This is like pretty simple, pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it too.
All right, I gotta figure out that video stuff. Well, I guess before we wrap it up here, how much longer do you want to go?
I don't know. I think an hour. You think an hour's good?
I don't know. You like seen any good movies lately?
I actually haven't. I haven't been watching movies too much. I really want to see
China tomorrow.
I know. 7 a.m. 16 hours of flying tomorrow.
It's brutal.
I want to see Venom though.
It's good.
Tom Hardy is one of my favorites.
He's great.
But I heard it did bad.
You know. I understand why it did bad though. Here's the thing. Like, for those of you who don't like movies, go ahead and check out now. But it's a decent movie, but the first act of the movie, the first 30 minutes of the movie is not good.
No?
It's just like, it's very poorly put together. It's very jarring. It's very shaky. It's not, but once he gets the symbiote, once he becomes Venom, it's great.
It's great?
It's great. Like, they nailed the chemistry between Venom, the symbiote, and Tom Hardy's character, and it's awesome. And it's kind of funny, kind of like Deadpool.
Okay.
Dude, you're going to like it, though. Honestly, like, you're going to see it, and you're going to be like, dude, it was awesome.
Yeah, I need to see that. Yeah, I mean, one of my all-time favorite movies ever is Warrior. With Tom Hardy, and it's just
oh my god.
Yeah, if anyone's interested in that, they should watch that movie.
I had a Warrior movie poster above my bed for 3 years when I was in college.
Yeah,
I love that.
Oh gosh,
movie.
I want to watch it now.
I do. It pumps me up so much. It hits on so many good levels.
Yeah,
it really, even for people who know nothing about fighting, nothing about MMA or any of that. It's just it's a very human story, and the whole storyline with him and his father obviously. He resonates with me because my dad was an alcoholic. Yeah. And like them dealing with that while fighting for the world title. Oh, go watch that movie. If you're not doing anything tonight, go watch
that. Was another. I was like, great watch this movie, and now I'm a Tom Hardy fan for life. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, that was great. No, I haven't been watching many. I don't know. I've been watching.
What do you do when you're traveling? Like, what do you like? For instance, tomorrow on all that flying. Like, obviously, you're probably going to take some Ambien and try to knock yourself out to hit the proper.
Yeah, so
zone, right?
Yeah, I'll probably try and sleep, a decent amount on the plane, and I don't know, I might watch, a movie or something, but I'm still in school.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you forgot.
Well, I'm not in school. So.
Yeah. So
That's true.
For those of you that don't know, I'm still pursuing. I'm a fifth year, still pursuing my degree. So I'm in 12 credits right now. So that takes a decent amount of time, but yeah, I don't know. I like YouTube. I like.
Are you still watching a ton of Fortnite videos? I can't tell you how many people message me that are like, "Yeah, what's your gamer tag?" or like, "What do you play Fortnite on?" I'm like, "I have it on everything."
Yeah.
I'm not very good though.
Yeah, that's another thing. Cody and I are gonna stream eventually. Oh. Yeah, pressure him to stream. Yeah. I'm a big video game fan.
Blake is a good Fortnite player,
but I haven't been able to play as much as I like with all the travel and school and stuff. But
I wish that it was a little bit better on the Switch, because then it would be more. It'd be more convenient while traveling.
Yeah. So I'm in the process of building a computer for gaming, and it's not fully done yet, but hopefully before the end of the year it'll be done, and we could get some serious gaming in.
Dude. I bought that PlayStation VR thing. I've played it like 3 times.
Yeah, Cody.
I'm just like what was I thinking? I just don't use it.
If we had footage of you trying to learn how to play Fortnite, that would be. I mean, I don't know. It's so funny when someone first plays Fortnite to try and build.
It's because it's so fun, and that's the one thing that I love about it, and why I think it's so great, and why parents need to kind of get behind the bandwagon of like, let your kids play Fortnite. Maybe don't let them play 12 hours a day, but let them play, because it is problem solving at its finest.
Yeah,
it really is though. It's literally problem solving at the highest peak. Like, you are firing on all cylinders with your brain, trying to figure out where people are coming at you from what direction. And the whole premise of building in 3D while multitasking, while switching weapons, while seeking out opponents, it's mind-blowing how hard it is and how stimulating it is. And I've had parents come up to me telling me that they think their kids play too many video games. I'm not going to dispute that. Maybe they do play too many video games, but don't be that person who is like video games rot your brain.
Yeah.
Because we know that's not true.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's dumb.
It's
Like, if you think that way, you are dumb.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Well, I do.
Okay. Well, yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I never thought that far into it. I don't know. But yeah, Fortnite. I remember when we were playing, and it was pretty, I don't know, maybe season 3 or something of Fortnite, and one of our friends on the team, Gary Cospade, we were playing together, and I need to be revived. I am down, all right? My health is being drained, and I'm like, Gary, get over here and revive me. Build around me and revive me. He goes, I don't know how to build, you know? And I'm like, I'm on the ground, and he builds a ramp, looking outward, not a wall, a ramp, and then puts a roof on the ramp, and I'm like, what? Okay, just knock it off. Just it was one of the funniest things. I don't know.
Sweet Gary.
It's good too, because I'm a very competitive person.
Oh,
very competitive, and I like to compete, but I like to compete in things that don't require, physically drain me other than swimming. I don't want to be physically drained for practice. I do practice to be physically drained, but I still want to compete afterwards, and video games, let you do that, and hang out with your friends. And
I do think that there's you need to manage your time a little bit, because I do think that it's more mentally draining and fatiguing than people realize.
Oh yeah.
I really do.
Especially when you get down to like 4 guys left, and it gets intense.
It really does. And not just Fortnite, but video games in general. If you're playing, it's like work. Like, think about it at work. Like, if you're at work and you're a graphic designer and you're designing and you're working with 5 other people and you're constantly micromanaging things, and then you come home, like, you're mentally drained. Dude, video games are similar in that way.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
But
they're definitely draining, but they're fun.
In a good way.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives you that competitive outlet without being physically draining that I like. I think that's the best thing. Yeah. You're going to get a lot of...
When I first started dating, we actually played a little bit of Xbox together. We'd play the Lego Star Wars Xbox game.
Oh, yeah?
Super fun game, dude.
What game do we play? Kitty Adventure?
Oh my
something?
God, do you remember that? You remember that game?
That was on my my recruiting trip.
Super
Kitty Explosion Adventure or something. I don't remember what it's called.
It was on the Xbox Marketplace. It was something crazy.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask James.
Yeah.
James Wells, let us know what it is.
You're going to get a lot of hate mail from moms and dads saying...
No, the thing is, I already do, though. Here's the thing. Like, all right, let me put this out there. So I made a vlog fairly recently, a couple of vlogs ago, where... I was on a tube, and I was riding the tube with Kyle Johnson. We're going tubing, and I bleeped out me saying, "Oh shit." Okay. I said shit, okay, and I bleeped it out, because I was like, all right, this needs to be kid-friendly. I don't want to swear too much. I apologize to you, but this is reality. Like, this is how we talk. And I bleeped it. And it was like a split second. And I got a parent that messaged me, and they were like, excuse me, Mr. Miller, my children watch your programming, and I would appreciate it if you kept it kid-friendly and wouldn't. And I'm like, woman, I bleeped this out.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't even say the word. Okay. And then she had the audacity to ask me to follow her kids on Instagram. She was like, would you please follow my kids? And I'm like, are you crazy? Like, what world do we live in?
Yeah.
Like, insult me and then ask me for something?
Yeah.
And I try to keep things, very... Just
your
clean,
is
dude.
Very clean,
I try to keep my stuff clean. Like, I want people to,
Yeah.
But yeah, so am I going to get some parents to get mad at me? Like, look, if you're a parent out there and you think that video games will rot your brain's kid if he plays 10 minutes a day, then I think you're an idiot. I do. And you know what? Like, people can get mad about that.
Brutal.
But yeah, I'll be, dude, this is my podcast. I'll be as honest as I want. I mean, I try to be very friendly. I try to be, obviously very open-minded.
So to any kids listening, go tell your parents that Cody Miller says it's okay for you to play 12 hours of video games a day.
That's not what I said. Don't take it out of
That's
context.
close enough. Yeah, that's close
not
enough.
Even close. Not even close. I know what it's like to play 12 hours of video games a day. It ruins you.
That's a lot.
It ruins you, dude.
Yeah.
In college, I got hooked on World of Warcraft for a little while with James.
That one.
I lost my life for a while, dude.
World. Yeah,
Don't
WoW,
do it.
League, those games.
Don't do it.
Yeah. That's you're asking to get sucked in.
I would lose James, my roommate / best man at my wedding. I would lose him for like weeks at a time to World of Warcraft. I just wouldn't see him.
Yeah, I mean Fortnite's addicting, but it's not like
it's
something where you have
down.
to like, it's easy to put. You don't have to like keep up on.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, those games are pretty.
It's madness.
Insane.
All right. Okay, let's wrap this up. That's going to
rambling.
be it for the first podcast. We're a little over an hour. Maybe we'll shoot for an hour.
Keep these around an hour?
Yeah, keep them around an hour. Go ahead and shoot us some ideas of things that you want to hear us talk about. We'll start making lists of things to discuss, things that we would quite honestly just normally talk about on the pool deck anyways, because that's what we're going for here, and that's kind of what we do. You know what, Blake? Where can people find you on social media?
Mostly Instagram. Blake Pieroni.
So follow Blake.
Instagram's better than Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. If you're listening to my podcast and you don't already follow me on social media, I'm a little confused, but go ahead and follow me on social media too.
How did you get here?
Yeah, how did you find this? Go ahead, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cody Miller Adventures, Cody Miller on Instagram, and you can tweet me anytime at SwimMiller.
And then where can they get this?
This podcast, so we're recording it. I haven't figured out how I'm going to upload this yet, but my plan is that this podcast should be available just about everywhere. So anywhere you get your podcast. So, the Google Play Store, iTunes, potentially Spotify. It's going to go up on YouTube. I'm going to make sure it gets up on YouTube, but I want it to be as accessible to people as possible. So if it's not everywhere yet, I apologize. In the future, I'll make that happen. But I'm gonna work that out.
All right.
And season 2 of the vlog starts next week, so I gotta start filming some stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
It's exciting.
Thanks for listening, guys. Blake, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no problem.
Bye-bye.